So many talking heads and commentators are just trying to gloss over this by saying, well, Trump did pardons too. Every president does pardons. I didn't hear you complaining when Trump pardoned General Flynn, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And this intentionally ignores some major things that I just wanted to kind of address on this podcast. The easy one off the top is Joe Biden's constant promising that he was not going to pardon Hunter Biden, a line that was repeated by other Democrats and probably most by Press Secretary KJP. I don't remember Trump promising that he wasn't going to pardon anybody and then, went back on his word and then did so. I don't remember that. Maybe it did. I don't think it did. But the craziest aspect of this pardon was the range and blanket quality of the pardon. So this pardon stretches back 11 years and provides immunity to Hunter Biden on any crimes and any potential crimes that Hunter may have committed during this period of time. Jim, do I have those details correct?
Unfortunately, you do have those details correct.
And like
Yeah.
that's unprecedented, right? I mean, this isn't something that normally happens. Am I correct?
No, this is something that has never happened before. And our corrupt media, of course, was carrying water for Joe Biden, promising that no, I'll never pardon Hunter Biden. I will not even commute his sentence. And they just expressed shock that he would go back on his word as a Biden. To actually go back to Seinfeld one more time, it was George Costanza who said, "It's not a lie if you believe it." But this was
Right.
actually a legit lie because, it was reported by NBC News of all places that, right after Hunter Biden was forced to, but his deal, he pled guilty to felony charges with firearms and with evading taxes. That was back in June, and immediately back in June, Joe Biden and his aides were discussing whether or not he was going to pardon Hunter Biden. And of course, the answer to that was, of course, he is going to pardon his son. And the only question was whether or not he was going to say so publicly or what he was going to say publicly. And they had come to the agreement that he will just deny that he's going to do that all the way until he has to do it. Now, normally these sorts of pardons happen, at the end of a presidency, and they're very controversial, but it dies down because everyone's focused on the new guy taking over the presidency. But Joe Biden was forced to do this over Thanksgiving weekend because I think right now, or maybe at this time, but this week was the sentencing for Hunter Biden. And for all those lefties out there who call Donald Trump a convicted felon, you are not technically or actually at all a convicted felon until sentencing. So Hunter Biden now, because he was pardoned before his sentencing for the felonies that he admitted to committing, will now never be a convicted felon. So good, that good for him. I guess now he can own firearms again, and he can also vote. He'll also be voting when he's dead because that's the way it works with the Democratic Party.
Sweet.
But
And he can leave those firearms in garbage cans in your schools too.
that's right. Well, big deal, big deal. It's when I saw this, I heard about it on Sunday. I was busy, and actually my mother texted me and said I saw it on the text as when I was done doing what I was doing on Sunday evening. She says, Joe just pardoned Hunter." I'm like, "Holy moly, okay." And it wasn't until I got home and started reading the stuff that I realized how outrageous this was, and because we all expected it, right? But then when you see that it's a blanket pardon for any and all federal crimes that could possibly be imagined, starting in January of 2014, the very month that he started working for Burisma, the energy company for which he had no qualifications to be on the board of directors, for which he was paid $1 million a year, um, and which was the most corrupt company in the most corrupt country in all of Europe, in Ukraine. Now, why would you pardon somebody for any crimes they may or may not have committed if you are not pretty certain that he had committed federal crimes? And but your administration has done a great job of making sure that he's not held accountable for that, and there isn't a real investigation of it. But then a new administration led by Donald Trump and then Kash Patel, which we're going to get to it here in a minute, as the head of the FBI, is going to pursue criminal charges, is going to get down to the bottom of the influence peddling that is the Biden family business. I would like somebody somewhere to explain to me what it is that the Bidens do for money. None of them have any marketable skills. They seem to travel all around the world, have meetings, and then money comes flowing into their 21 different shell companies to hide where it's coming from and then where it goes. And then it goes to all sorts of different Biden family members. And then, of course, at least 10% for the big guy. All of this stuff has been covered up. Um, Biden's supposedly independent Department of Justice has not pursued any of these obvious, like smoking smoking gun crimes that have been going on influence peddling. There is nothing else that Hunter Biden is qualified to do but to be the bagman for a shakedown operation for the influence that Joe Biden can have on foreign policy as vice president of the United States. He pardoned his son for before he was president. 2014, he was vice president of the United States and in charge of the Ukrainian desk at the White House. And what happened, and everybody knows this because he bragged because Joe Biden is so stupid. He bragged about it on camera that he told Ukraine, "You fire that prosecutor who's coming after Burisma, which my son sits on, and which we use for as a perhaps a money laundering operation. You stop that investigation, or you're not getting any aid." And he says, and then the famous quote, "Son of a bitch." They fired a guy, So that's what Joe Biden has been in the business of for his entire life. He was first elected to the Senate at the age of 29 and has been a senator or vice president for all but 4 years for his entire adult life. He doesn't have any skills either, except as being a bullshit artist and figuring out schemes in which he can enrich himself on a public servant salary. He still has multiple homes and millions of dollars in his accounts. How does that happen for somebody who's just a senator or a vice president who is operating in the public interest and everything is on the up and up? I want Chris to get in here. I got a lot more to say about this that makes me angry. But because I want to get into some of the stuff on that Hunter laptop. But one of the things about pardoning you from 2014 to I guess Monday or Sunday, one of the things that covers is everything that was on that Hunter Biden laptop. There are a lot of crimes that were seen in plain view on that Hunter Biden laptop, which again, the corrupt deep state falsely called Russian disinformation. So we'll get into some of those crimes, I guess. But this is outrageous. This has never
Yeah.
happened before in American history. And the only upshot of this is that it gives Donald Trump complete carte blanche to do whatever kind of pardon stuff he wants, basically about 30 seconds after he takes the oath of office.
Yeah, based on something that you were saying there, I'm starting to develop a little bit of a tinfoil hat conspiracy theory in my head. But give me a minute to kind of sort it all out. And during that minute, I want Chris's reactions on this particular story.
Well, I think one of the things that Jim didn't mention, and I agree with everything that he did mention, is that well, I mean, where do I even begin? Um, wha- there are so many problems with what Biden has done here. The breadth of the pardon, like Jim said, the fact that it goes back, more than a decade and covers basically any federal crime that he could be tied to, is just breathtaking when you think about it. But I'm also just a little bit disappointed in the fact that Biden did this obviously on a holiday weekend, and then what does he do the next day? He flies to Angola and doesn't talk to the press for 3 straight days. Basically makes a fool of himself. I don't know if we have any videos of that, but he fell asleep, during the press conference. I mean, just total, like amateur hour. So yeah, I mean that's pretty bad stuff. Um, Everyone knows the Bidens are corrupt. Everyone knows that Hunter Biden was the bag man for the big guy, like Jim explained, and that he was flying around on Air Force Two while Biden was vice president, and making money hand over fist, whether it's from China, whether it's from Ukraine, whether it's from Russia or other countries around the world. We'll never get to the bottom of that. That's just the way that it's going to be. But one of the things that does stand out is that Joe Biden, during or in his statement regarding the pardon, claimed that the Justice Department is corrupt, and he said that this was all political. So that means that Joe Biden's Justice Department under his watch has been corrupt, and then that leads you to say, well, if it's corrupt, then they went after Donald Trump for political reasons. If they went after Trump for political reasons, then Joe Biden should pardon Donald Trump. Of course, he won't do this. But really, I think what happened here is that Joe Biden has opened up a can of worms, because now Donald Trump can come in and say, President Biden himself said that the FBI and the DOJ is, totally out of control and we need to reform it. So thank you, Joe Biden, for doing that. I don't think he intended to do that, but that's, one of the good things that happened here. Another one that I've been reading about is the Fifth Amendment. So now that Hunter Biden has been pardoned of any crimes that he committed from 2014 to 2025, he can no longer use the Fifth Amendment because it can't because he's not in danger of prosecution. So some people have speculated that actually now this could backfire on the Bidens, and they could haul in Hunter Biden into questioning, whether it's before the House or Senate or whomever, and say, okay, now you have to answer these questions. When you were on the Barista board, did you receive basically bribes? He can't hide behind Fifth Amendment anymore. So some people are saying that this actually could blow the whole thing wide open. I don't know if that's going to happen. I don't know if Donald Trump's even going to want to go down this road when he becomes president, or whether he's just going to, move forward, turn the page, and get into his agenda. But yeah, this is just unprecedented, and we all know Hunter Biden's guilty. We all know the laptop was real. It was not Russian disinformation. And, in the court of public opinion, which, does matter, he's guilty.